Absolute silence. Sit. Stand. Silence in the corridors and the communal areas. Skirts no more than 2 inches from the ground when kneeling.
Welcome to Premiere Scene once again. I'm Alex Stevanovic, and to the premiere of movie The Falling, a story about psychogenic outbreaks, dark secrets, repressive teachers, their unruly pupils, and the 1960s.
If I were a fly on the wall in your house, what would I see?
You're quite an influence on the others. You are not to fraternise with any of these girls.
You are playing Lydia.
Yes.
What kind of fears do you have in this movie?
What, Lydia?
Yeah, absolutely. As Lydia, playing Lydia, what kind of fears does the character have in this movie?
I think the fear of being misunderstood, the fear of being talked down to being forgotten about, the fear of not being taken seriously.
Now, you have quite a repressive mother, don't you?
Yes.
Can you draw on any past experiences?
No, not at all, really.
Or anything that you made it, any experiences, not necessarily from your mother, but from any other kind of things that have happened in life?
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone's got things that make them happy, things that make them sad, things that they're angry about. I like to, instead of drawing on other things, sometimes I like to convince myself that I am that character. That's, I guess, my method of doing things, which sounds really pretentious.
And it's regarded as a supernatural movie, isn't it? How scary is it?
Well, I don't know. I don't have an objective perspective of it because I was there throughout the shooting of the whole thing. So I don't know if it's scary. I think it's haunting, definitely. And the topics that it raises are things that we don't talk about often, things that we find kind of taboo. So I think it puts the audience member in like quite a weird place, but people are loving it and talking about it, and that's really all we could ask for.
Now, the movie is obviously set in 1969, so you were going back quite a while here. 40 years or whatever.
It like it was yesterday. No, I'm joking. 69. It was for our auditions and for our process, like our casting journey. Carol got us to do a lot of research about 69 and pick news articles that would fascinate our characters and pick songs that our characters would listen to, and it's wonderful, and it really helped with getting into that sort of scene. So when it came to actually shooting, like, me and all the girls had done so much research about it, and we loved sharing stories to each other about what we'd found out and what sort of songs we liked, and we had playlists that we would listen to throughout the movie, which were really helpful also.
And it's very female dominant as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We had a nearly all female crew, so it was a different experience, definitely. I felt hysteric by the end. No, I'm joking.
Who was the first person in your age group to show symptoms?
You all know something is wrong.
I really want to say this, Carol. I think your synopsis sounds great, really well written. You seem like quite a dreamy character, very vivid imagination. I like that a lot. What I want to say is that I saw some similarities in this to the film Carrie. How would you react to that?
Well, yes, there is actually a scene directly taken from Carrie as well, which is the boy falling off his bike. Do you remember in Carrie? She turns around and...
Yes.
So I think I like to have fun with my films, and if I'm thinking, this film is a bit like that in places, I like to put a little thing in it that the audience might connect with, might recognise on the second or third viewing, not necessarily the first time. But I think Carrie is not... It's a very different kind of film, but there's the sense that film looks at female power manifesting itself in different ways, and The Falling definitely does, but perhaps giving more power to the women than Carrie does.
And just for you, why 1969?
I felt it was an era on the cusp of adolescence, about to discovering itself. Man had landed on the moon, and yet lots of things were still very old-fashioned. So I felt it was a very teenage era.
And there were really cool clothes.
Yeah.
And songs.
Well, absolutely. So how did you find getting into something that was set in the 60s? Because that was obviously a long time ago.
Well, I was given patent leather knee-high boots, so when I had them, I fell into character. No, I think during the film, actually, I made a little a CD of all the songs at the time, and for me that really helps looking at the art and the music of the time, because that is technically what it's all about. And so I don't think you knew this, but I made a little playlist that I would constantly listen to throughout filming, and it really kind of helps you just understand what was fashionable, what wasn't fashionable, what was cool, and that was then easy to become the character, because those were the things that she would be listening to, she'd be watching, and I think that was easy to get into.
And one other thing, you're from Oxford, aren't you?
I am.
I'm from Oxford.
No way.
I am.
Where from?
Well, very near. You won't come looking for me. I'm in Didcot, actually. But I used to go to Oxford quite a lot, yeah. But this is... a lot of people think that people in Oxford are very intelligent, but that's just the students.
Yeah, no. Lots of people ask me if I study there, and I'm like, oh, no.
No, but I'm interested in knowing how you felt when you got the call to be in this movie, because you sent your show reel in last minute and you almost didn't do it.
I didn't do it because there was a lot of competition at school, and lots of people saying that, you know, it was first come, first serve, and I wouldn't get it because I hadn't done it, and I was like, meh, there's no point in doing it, not going to happen. I mean, come on, it's like a big film. I'm a little girl, and I go to a school that it doesn't ever, like, smush together. Anyway.
How'd you feel?
Well, obviously,
How did you feel?
When I did it, my mum forced me to. I got I got an email, like, 2 days later saying that Carol Morley would like to meet you. She's the director. I was like, oh, my goodness. And then, of course, slowly started unraveling that we were filming in Oxford, and then this huge kind of, like, dream just became really real. And of course now I'm watching it and I'm getting really proud because it's getting the recognition that it deserves, and all the actors are getting the recognition that they deserve, and it's a really amazing moment that it's being picked up the way that we want it to.
We're not kids anymore, Mum.
Have you had sexual intercourse?
Close your eyes. Kiss your lips.
I will not tolerate such conduct.
Crazy riches!
What was it about the script in this movie that wanted you to be part of the film?
It was just something different. I think a film about young girls and sexuality and in 1969 and fainting and you know, incest and all these bizarre concepts that I'd never really sort of come across really excited me. I knew about Carol, I knew about Dreams of a Life, and I went in very late in the process and read with Maisie, and Carol was there at Shaheen Beg's office, and it was just really sort of organic and really kind of quite exciting. It just flew off the page, you know.
Interestingly enough, this movie is quite heavily dominated by females. You're one of the very few males. That kind of works in this movie quite well, doesn't it? Because of the message that the director is trying to get across.
Yeah, I mean, it was both in front of and behind the camera. It was largely populated with women, and that was very refreshing. I've worked on a lot of sort of very male-dominated sets, and it was having that kind of energy around was actually really, really kind of nice. And the young girls all got on really well. Carol set it up so they all stayed in the house together, as you probably know, and it was just a real kind of family vibe, you know. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Tell me about your character.
So I play Kenneth, who's Maisie's character's older brother. Bit of a loner, bit of a player, bit of a weird dude, and he sort of has this weird infatuation with his sister that is reciprocated by Maisie, he's sort of into sort of sci-fi and crazy things like that. Yeah.
Now it's quite a rebellious movie. Is your character sort of have a rebellious side to this then?
Always. He's the worst. He's the most rebellious, I would say. You know, he kind of he has relationships with more than one of Maisie's friends, and you know, he's almost the catalyst for a lot of her feeling within the film, and you know, these young girls who want to grow up, and you know, their friends are having sex, who's having sex first, and all these things.
And it was set in obviously 1969, obviously a decade where sex was, you know, coming to the fore in this country, the swinging 60s. So how did you sort of use that period to you know, develop your character?
Why you put me off? That's Carol.
Hello,
darling. You're right. How are you?
Because it's set in the 60s, isn't it? How did you sort of use that decade to develop your character?
I think it just gives you free rein to be a little bit odd and kind of you're not sort of tied to modern constraints, you know, sort of how people are today, colloquialisms and things like that, which I would probably drop into it. So it was it just allows you to kind of access a different world, a different time, and push the boundaries with it.
Nobody knows who I am anymore. What I'm really like. What I think about doing.